Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Excuse me, welcome back to Jelly Bean's channel, where we always talk about how handsome Jelly Bean is. Okay, so this is Alita and the books. I'm Alita. These are some of my books. So I have a little bit of a problem. And I'm not mad about it. We are sitting on the floor today, and, well, surrounded by us are my extremely large book haul. So I'm not really going to give you much of an intro. We're just going to dive right in. I'm not going to give you full-blown synopsises for each book because I'm pretty sure there's like 75 books here. I will count and let you know, like right here somewhere, exactly how many books there are, but there's too many for me to do a synopsis of each one. Okay, so our first stack are romances. So there's How to Fail at Flirting by Denise Williams. I've already read this. I really enjoyed this. It's a hard-hitting romance though, so check the trigger warnings. There's Of Curses and Kisses by Sahada Menon. This is a Beauty and the Beast retelling told in like the modern contemporary world, I think. And Finding Mr. Better Than You by Shani Petroff. So this is about this girl who gets dumped, and like this is her moving on from that. This stack are all for different videos that I am planning, so I can't tell you anything about these books. I'm just really going to tell you the name and the author, and that'll make it really quick. So there's The Rattled Bones by S.M. Parker. We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. First We Were Four by Alexandra Surley. The Martian by Andy Weir. And Hench by Natalie Zena Washut. This stack is graphic novels that I have recently acquired. So there's Cancer Vixen by Marissa Alca Marchetto. Cancer, I'm going to kick your butt and do it in 5-inch heels. So this is the author's true story of fighting and surviving cancer. Fables, Legends in Exile. I've already read this. It is a graphic novel that kind of reminds me of Once Upon a Time. It's like all the fairy tales are in the modern world. There's Hollywood and Vine Faith. This is a plus-size superhero. Betty and Veronica, Friends Forever. Josie and the Pussycats, Volume 1. And Archie, Volume 1. These are all reimaginings of Archie and Jughead. These all take place in the Archieverse and all have something to do with Riverdale, which I am obsessed with. And then Baby Sister's Little Sister by by N.M. Martin. This is Karen's Witch. Ooh, so it'll be a nice Halloween read. These are some thrillers that I have recently acquired. There's Before She Was Helen by Caroline B. Cooney. I'm going to be completely honest with you on this one. I thought this was by Caroline Kepnes, and I really want to read some of Caroline Kepnes' backlog. So it was a mistake, but I'm going to still try and read it. There's Free Fall by Jessica Berry. This is a book about a plane crash and surviving that plane crash and then what happens afterward. There is Layover by Amy Andelson and Emily Meir. I think that I thought this was Layover by David Bell, which is a thriller. I have no idea what this one is about. It just says 1 missed flight, 2 broken hearts, 3 unforgettable days. So I'm wondering if it's like a road trip type story, which would be fun. So it might not even be a contemporary. I mean, it might not even be a thriller. It is a contemporary. Then Lost You by Helen Beck. Helen Beck is the author of one of my favorite thrillers of all time, which is Here and Gone. If you are a mother, or yeah, if you are a mother, I would be, I would read the trigger warnings for Here and Gone, but I just really wanted to explore more of what this author has written. The Perfect Fraud by Ellen LaCourte. Again, it's another thriller. I think it's a debut thriller. Then there's Burn Baby Burn by Meg Medina. This follows this girl who is alive in 1977 in New York when there is a serial killer on the loose. A small stack is Book of the Month books. So there's The Golden Couple by Gare, Hendricks, and Sarah Pechnan. It's a thriller that follows a therapist and this wealthy, perfect couple who end up in this therapy because one of them cheated. Then there's The Shadows by Alex North. I'm finally going to read this. I've heard it compared to The Chalkman, which I really enjoyed The Chalkman, so. Then there's Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. I am like halfway done with this as I am filming this. I buddy reading this with Amanda, and I am liking it, but it seems like there's no, okay, so it's definitely dual timeline, and I am loving one timeline more than the other, so I'm not sure if it's just like a me thing, or if maybe one timeline wasn't written as well as the other, or the characters, there's just something about the characters in one timeline over the other that I really enjoy, and the other one that I don't. But it's like these people go to this remote island to kind of just, explore and have a little bit of a getaway, and then creepy stuff happens. Yeah. I have 2 middle grades. I have more, but that's part of a different pile. That is my nostalgia pile, where I read stuff that I've read before. Are Mr. Popper's Penguins by Richard and Florence Atwater. I am really wanting to start this series in which I read a book and watch a movie of the same name with the same concept and compare them and tell you my thoughts on both. I know that's not like a super original idea. I'm sure a million other booktubers have done it, but I want to do my own take on it. Frog Kisser by Garth Nix. This is like a Cinderella retelling. This whole stack right here, wow, is nostalgia. So I've read all of these. Most of them I haven't read in years though, and I kind of just want to test to see if they still stand up, or if I still like them. Again, not an original idea, but I'm going with it. So the first one is actually the one that I've read most recently. I read this 3 years ago, 2019. And this is Hate List by Jennifer Brown. I didn't mean for anyone to die, so this follows like a school shooting, and it's the aftermath of said school shooting. I got rid of it after I read it, not because I didn't like it, just because I didn't think I would reread it, but I am starting to get to that point where I just want books on my shelf that I'm super excited for, and if I have read them, then books that I really, really enjoyed. And this is very intense, very hard-hitting, because it does involve a school shooting, but I enjoyed this book. Hatchet by Gare Paulsen. I read this as a kid, loved it. It's some kind of survival story about Brian, whose plane crashes in Canada and he has to live in the wilderness. Yeah, good synopsis. Molly Moon series. So I only have 4 books. I thought this book was only 4 books long, but apparently it's 6 books, so I still need to get the rest. But there's Molly Moon, Mickey Minus, and the Mind Machine. Molly Moon Stops the World. Molly Moon's Hypnotic Time Travel Adventure. And Molly Moon and the Morphine Mystery by Cynthia Binge. By Georgia Binge. I'm sorry. So this follows Molly Moon, who is an orphan, and she gets into trouble, and she has some interesting powers. And I just love going on adventures with her. Then, I have no idea what this book is about, but I remember reading it, and I think there's like a camping one in the same series or by the same author. It's like A Week to Live or something. I don't know. Oh, let's see. Here, all the books are by this author. Let's see. There's A Week in the Woods. Okay, so I've read A Week in the Woods and I read Friddle by Andrew Clements. I can't remember what they're about, but I remember reading them and loving them. So I kind of just want to revisit that. There's A Single Shard by Linda Sue Park. This is about an orphan boy named Tree Ear who kind of goes after Min, who is pottery, like he's a famous potter. And Tree Ear accidentally breaks something, and then he kind of has to work off his debt with Min. And then this is the entirety of the Fudge series by Judy Blume. So there's Otherwise Known as Sheila the Great, Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing, Fudge-A-Mania, Double Fudge, and Super Fudge, all by Judy Blume. It's this fun series where this kid, I think it's a boy, is his name Peter? I think his name is Peter. He goes on these crazy adventures, and they're very funny, lighthearted, fun reads. And then, not one that's not as lighthearted, but I'm still super excited for, is Bridge to Terabithia by Catherine Patterson. This is one of my favorite middle grades ever. So it kind of has the Narnia vibes because they go to Terabithia. But this one isn't always sunshine and rainbows. If you've read it, you know. But I'm not really going to give anything away here. I do know it's very sad. And I also could read this book, watch the movie, do a video on it. So these are all my young adult books. So for someone who says she doesn't like young adult anymore, I have a lot to show you. So there's The Serpent King by Jeff Zettner. Again, this one might be for a video. It's also one that's very hyped on BookTube, and that was a big reason that I got it. Then there's My Heart and Other Black Holes by Jasmine Wager. This has been on my radar for many years, probably since it came out. Let's see. Oh, 2015. Okay, so not that long, but it's a hard-hitting contemporary about Ansel, who is obsessed with plotting her own death. Skinny by E.B. Kaslik. This follows this girl who is in a group home for eating disorders. She has anorexia, and I just want to learn more about eating disorders. Then Midnight Sun by Trish Cook. Again, this is for the movie to book comparison. I want to watch the movie and read this book. It's a young adult romance, so I'm not 100% sure I'm going to love it. But it has Bella Thorne in the movie. And apparently Katie, I think she plays a girl named Katie, who is allergic to the sun. So I kind of want to see how that plays out. Cracked Up to Be by Courtney Summers, I believe. Okay, so this girl named Parker went from being valedictorian, captain of the cheerleading squad, like perfect, to not so perfect, and it seems like overnight. So there's something that she's not telling people, and I feel like this can be very hard-hitting, but it's going to be something that I would like. Then there's Trust Me, I'm Lying by Mary Elizabeth Summer. This is a young adult thriller. Telling lies can be murder. I'm not even going to tell you what the synopsis says, because at the end it says that she's a liar and not to trust anything that she says. So that intrigued me. Let's try it again. What I Carry by Jennifer Longo. This is about this girl who is living in foster care, and I think that she's about to age out of the system. And yeah, that's all I know. The Lost Girls of Camp Forevermore by Kim Fu. Just a young adult camping story. Year After You by Nina D. Pass. Follows this girl at a New Year's Eve party in San Francisco where there is an accident on the way home, and she survives, but her best friend dies. Then there's Mayhem by Estelle Lore. I really don't know anything about this. I just know that people on BookTube love it. There's The Memory Book by Laura Avery. They Say I'll Forget, I'm Writing to Remember. So this girl, Sammy, has, it's her senior year, and has some kind of disease where she's gonna forget everything that happens to her, so she writes it all down so she won't forget. It's probably gonna be very hard hitting. Then there's The Mall by Megan McCaffrey. Some kids don't know how important the mall was to us 90s kids. I mean, we're not kids anymore, but this is all about 1991, going to the mall, scrunchies, and just, it's a day in the life of a 90s kid. So for nostalgia reasons, I want to read it. Then there's Goodbye Days by Jeff Zettner. I think he wrote The Serpent King. Did he write The Serpent King? The Serpent King. Oh my god, it's the same author! I didn't even realize. Oh. Okay, so this guy texts his friends, where are you? When are you coming? And apparently they had a car accident that same night, and all three of his best friends died. And now this is the aftermath, and he kind of blames himself for sending that text message that he says, if he wouldn't have sent that, then they would still be alive. 2 books by Elizabeth Acevedo. And, I mean, they're just so pretty, for one thing. And for another, I think they're both told in verse. Okay. One of them is told in verse, but they're supposed to be very hard-hitting young adult contemporaries. So there's With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo and Clap When You Land. Clap When You Land is told in verse. It's about this dad who dies going from the Dominican Republic back to the United States. He dies in a plane crash, and these two sisters find out about each other, but they didn't know that they had sisters, and it kind of like makes you look at your dad differently when, you know, your parents are still together and yet you have another daughter my age from a different person. So it makes you really, like, they're dealing with grief, but they're also finding each other, and they're both very reluctant to get to know each other, you know. And oh my goodness. Okay, then With the Fire on High is about this woman, I believe that she is like 17, and she is a mom, and she's following her dreams of going to cooking school or becoming like a famous chef or something like that. I know that food has a lot to do with it. So cool. I don't know if this one's as hard-hitting. I know that generally speaking her work is very hard-hitting. So if you've read this, let me know in the comments below if it's hard-hitting or what am I getting myself into. Okay. So this pile is probably going to surprise you the most. Yeah. These are all classics. What did you just say, girl? These books, that whole stack that I just showed you, they're all classics. I probably don't know the synopsis of these books, so I'm probably just going to go through them really quick. You're welcome. If you've read any of these, let me know. Kind of give me some encouragement in the comments below, because classics are probably my least read genre, and they are the books that I am most scared to read out of all the genres. I could say fantasy is, but I would be lying. Classics are my most scary genre. So there's Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I believe this is a love story with Heathcliff. There's The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. Honestly, I have always wanted to read this book. Or, well, since Easy A came out, if you've never seen Easy A, it is an amazing book with, an amazing movie with Emma Stone. And, she basically gets branded for doing taking this guy's virginity, and she brands herself with an A as they're reading The Scarlet Letter in English class, and it's kind of like a retelling of The Scarlet Letter, and that is such a funny movie. I love that movie. I know this isn't going to be funny, at least I don't think so, but it's always made me want to read that. Then I have Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I think that this is another love story about Jane Eyre. I told you, these are terrible. I'm sorry. Then there's The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. I own the rest of the series, so I just really want to be able to start reading. I have read The Hobbit before. I read The Hobbit in high school. I absolutely loved The Hobbit. I don't know if I loved the book or if I loved my experience with it, because my teacher was amazing, my group was amazing, and it was senior year of high school, and I just have all these amazing memories surrounding this book, so I just really want to reread it. There's the Odyssey by Homer, which I have studied a lot. I haven't read the whole thing, but I've studied quite a bit of this book, and I really, really love it. So I want to read it from start to finish. I better talk about the Canterbury Tales, which is another poem that I've read and studied for English as my major in community college. Love it. And Beowulf. So these are all like epic classic poems that I'm super excited to revisit and actually finish from start to finish. And Beowulf. This one has pictures. There's some really beautiful pictures in here. This is such a pretty edition. Usually I don't care about the edition, but like, I mean, come on, I had to get this one. Okay, we got 3 more classics to talk about, which I think you're going to be surprised. I might have another book order coming soon, in March. Hopefully this is up before that one gets here. But there might be more classics in it. So this is Moby Dick by Herman Melville. I don't know what this one's about at all. I know that there's a whale in it. I thought Moby Dick was the whale, but I think I heard somewhere that that's not true. I honestly have 0 expectations. I have nothing. I know nothing about that. 2 last classics. So there's Great Tales of Horror by H.P. Lovecraft. So, these are just a short story collection of H.P. Lovecraft. And I've never read anything by H.P. Lovecraft, but he is a great horror author. I've heard kind of reminiscent of Edgar Allan Poe, which Poe is one of my favorites. I absolutely love Poe. So I just really want to read some more. Then this is yet another beautiful edition of a book. How could I not? So there's that creepy tree and the moon, and then there's bats. I don't think you can see the bats, but then there's a graveyard, and then you flip it to the front and you have more of a graveyard, creepy trees, and bats. The bats are up here. I don't think you can see it, but I'm telling you, it's beautiful. Then, gold sprayed edges. What? Oh my gosh. So this is Classic Tales of Horror. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's just a bunch of classic horror. I'm going to tell you a few of them, but not all of them. There's The Telltale Heart by Edgar Allan Poe. Dracula's Guest by Bram Stoker. The Tomb by H.P. Lovecraft. The Monkey's Paw by W.W. Jacobs. The Trial for Murder by Charles Dickens. There's just so many of them, and I'm so excited for that. Okay, then these 2 I've already read. These 3 I've already read. So there's Night of the Mannequin by Stephen Graham Jones. This is my favorite Stephen Graham Jones that I have read so far. I don't want to tell you a lot about it because it's so short. It's 130 pages. Slasher. That's all you gotta know. There's Well Met by Jen DeLuca. This was another Book of the Month pick. This was a romance in which I just finished, and I am in awe of this book. I want to finish the series. Apparently it's a trilogy, like a companion novel trilogy, but you follow Emily, and she kind of gets roped into doing this Renaissance fair so that her niece can do it, and there she finds love. And then everyone's Alien When You're an Alien too by Johnny Sun. This one will also be in that February wrap-up, but it is a graphic novel in which this alien is sent down to Earth to talk to humans and see what humans are like. I only have 2 of them, and they're both YA horror, but you know what? It's okay. So there's Prom Nights from Hell and Vacations from Hell. These are by 5, each one is by 5 different authors, and they're 5 different like short stories of exactly what it sounds like. Then there's A Light in the Attic by Shel Silverstein. I have never read this one. I recently read Falling Upward. Where the Sidewalk Ends. And I want to read all of this author's work and get 1 copy for myself and 1 copy for my classroom. This whole stack is fantasy. What? I know, I'm even surprising myself. So there's Vicious by V.E. Schwab. This is some kind of villain backstory. And it's the start of a trilogy. So go me. Then there's this beautiful edition of Heartless by Marissa Meyer. So this is an Alice in Wonderland retelling. The first 2 in a series. I think the series is 5 books long. I don't know entirely. But there's Poison Study and Magic Study by Maria V. Snyder. These are magic, murder, mayhem. That's all I know. That's all you need to know. Then there's The Looking Glass Wars by Frank Bender. So this is where Alice in Wonderland is real. Wonderland is a real place, but no one believes it. They all think that it's just a myth. Then there's Cinderella Is Dead by Kaylin. Then there's Cinderella Is Dead by Kaylin Barron. It's kind of a retelling of Cinderella, but not really. So it's like 200 years after Cinderella, and now in the world where Cinderella used to live, the fairy tale is over, and now all the girls have to go to this like ball to find their husband, and if they don't get picked, they get exiled or murdered or something. Right here. It's a whole entire trilogy. Who am I? Classics, fantasy, trilogies, series. Whew. I think I might have a fever. So there's Spelled, Wanted, and Banished by Betsy Scow. Somewhere over the rainbow, all spell is about to break loose. So Spell, I believe, is the name of the town. Once upon a time, everything goes to hex, and there's no place like home and no way in Spell to get it back. So I think this is like retelling of Oz mixed with elements of Robin Hood. And I'm super excited to read that. So, yeah, that is all of this haul. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. So it's 45 minutes before I edit. So hopefully not too bad, but we'll see. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. You know, I'm not too mad because this looks like a ton of books, and I'm not gonna lie, it is a lot of books, but I haven't filmed a haul in like 6 weeks, so, and I did unhaul a lot of books. You know, I'm trying to justify it. Anyways, thank you. Don't forget to like this, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.